Hamlet as a tragic hero. This presentation will compare Hamlet to the path of a tragic hero, then compare the personality traits that a tragic hero holds to the personality traits of Hamlet. These together will hopefully prove that Hamlet is in fact a tragic hero, and the play of Hamlet is in fact tragic. First is the path of the tragic hero. 11 traits that the plots of tragedies hold will be compared to the plot line of Hamlet, to prove that Hamlet's character and his journey is comparable to a tragic hero's. First is high esteem. Hamlet is very well known in the country of Denmark, as he is obviously the prince. He is very well liked. He goes to school, and he lives in the castle of Elsinore with all the other royals in the country. Next is Hamlet's tragic flaw. This is later revealed in the play that this is his inability to act. He does very, very little to avenge his father's death, even though much of the play has gone by. Next is the sense of urgency. This relates back to the tragic flaw, as Hamlet's inability to act gets him more and more stressed over the course of the play. Next is misreadings and rationalizations. After learning about his father's death in Act 1, Scene 5, Hamlet decides to act insane to the kingdom, so the kingdom won't be suspicious of him. This fake insanity leads to Claudius and Polonius acting to solve the antic disposition by spying on him and using Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to spy on him. Next is the murder of enemies. This correlates to Polonius' death in Act 3, Scene 3. And although Polonius isn't really an enemy to Hamlet's goal of avenging his father's death, Hamlet and Polonius did fight a lot, and Hamlet saw him as an annoyance. Next is the gradual isolation of the hero. This occurs in the middle of the play, where Hamlet loses both Ophelia, who is his romantic partner, and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, his best friends, as their friendship was betrayed because they agreed to spy on Hamlet for just Claudius's gain. Next is the mobilization of opposition, which is when the enemies of the main character get together. After learning of his father's murder, Laertes gets together with Claudius to avenge the death of Polonius. To do this, he comes all the way home from France. They make a plan together to kill Hamlet. After that is the tragic recognition. This ties into the sense of urgency and time previously mentioned. In Act 4, Scene 4, Hamlet realizes that he has an inability to act when he says, How stand I, then have a father killed, a mother stained, excitements of my reason and my blood, and let all sleep. Next is the last attempt to restore honor, and this is the last try for the characters to make things better again. In Act 5, Scene 2, Hamlet tries for the last time to restore honor, which would be to kill Claudius finally. Coming close to the end is the death of the tragic hero, and this occurs when Hamlet is led to death by Laertes' blade tipped with poison. With his death is the death of most of the major characters present throughout the entire play, except for Horatio. Finally is the restoration of order, and this is when Fortinbras comes back to Denmark in the play of Hamlet. As the entire royal family is dead, Fortinbras takes over the role of the King of Denmark. Now it can be seen that Hamlet's character follows the path of a tragic hero. However, does he fit the characteristics of a tragic hero? Comparing Hamlet's character to A.C. Bradley's definition of a tragic hero will confirm that Hamlet is in fact a tragic hero, and the play of Hamlet is a tragedy. The first character trait is nobility, and this goes back to the plot line of a tragic hero with high esteem and renown. Hamlet is again very well known. He's the Prince of Denmark. He is well liked, and everyone in the castle respects him, before the events of the play, of course, and he lives with all of the other royals. The next trait is the fate affects entire nation. Since Hamlet and all the other royal family control the lives of the entire nation, the person who is ruling the country, aka the king, affects the entire nation as a whole, as different leaders have different styles of running a country. Next is that the tragic hero contributes to his own downfall. Although Hamlet's downfall is led by his inability to act, some of his own actions have helped as well. An example of this is killing Polonius. He wouldn't have died. Hamlet would have died by Laertes if Laertes did not need to avenge his father's death. The next trait of a tragic hero is being one-sided. Hamlet does not really have a bias towards the ghost of Claudius on the subject of believing whether Claudius killed the king Hamlet or not. However, he is one-sided as he stays on the fence and makes little decision as to whether he believes the ghost or not. The next trait of a tragic hero is the predisposition with an incapacity to change. And this obviously relates back to both being one-sided and his tragic flaw. Hamlet has an inability to act, as previously mentioned, and he doesn't really change much of his tragic flaw to get to his goal in the end. He rather just does nothing about it, and through most of the play, he does stuff, but it doesn't really get him anywhere, and he doesn't really act to accomplish his goals, which is to kill Claudius. And the final trait that proves Hamlet is a tragic hero is the interaction with the supernatural. Obviously, this is the interaction with the ghost of his father. Without this interaction, the whole plot would have never occurred, as Hamlet would have never known that his father was murdered by Claudius. And through all these personality traits, it is obvious that Hamlet is a tragic hero, and he follows the path of a tragic hero, which confirms in the end that Hamlet is in fact a tragic hero.